Welcome to another collaboration video.
Yes, and as usual, of course, we will link each other's information down below. And excuse us if you hear my son talking in the background, because he is alive and around.
Playing games, and he's excited about it.
Yes.
All right, today's subject is just about growing up in a mixed race family.
Yeah, if you couldn't tell, we're what you would call mixed race.
That's Dad and the brothers and Rachel, and she's younger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dad's black, as I say, and Mom's white.
That makes us mixed.
Yes, it does.
So kind of the first thing we're going to address is kind of like how people approach that. You know, other people, they visually will look at us and wonder, they're not white, they're not black. What are they? And so that's what they're trying to figure out. So we get that question sometimes is, what are you? And it's interesting the different ways that sometimes people ask that question.
And you, Jacob, and Jared probably get that more.
So the three younger of the children are darker skinned.
More brown.
More brown. And the three older ones are lighter skinned. Just how it came out. So you guys are, there's a term, I don't know if you know this term, white passing. So that's what you are.
Like, it makes sense in the context of political correctness, but I've never heard
It's a term it's new to me too, and I don't know that I fit that term, white passing. I don't think so, because my hair definitely is not white people hair. White people hair.
Enough brown, I guess.
Yes. So you would definitely be white passing. And I don't know if I am. You tell me. Am I white passing? I don't know. I don't know. Who knows?
Hispanics and blacks claim her, so.
Yes.
All right, so we have a series of questions.
Yep.
Do you ever feel you don't belong? Nope.
I'll let you answer that question first.
I feel like I always felt like I just belong to the human race. Of course, we grew up in a Christian worldview, so that definitely colors my view, because God made Adam and Eve, and everybody comes from that. Right. I mean, yeah, when Noah got off the ark, he had his family, so he had him and his wife, and then Ham, Shem, and Japheth and their wives. So there is that diversity. Interesting. Scientists say they can trace through the mitochondrial DNA of the female to 4 women. So that's interesting. Anyways, but we all have the same genetics. We literally all trace back. Yeah, there's different ethnicities today as far as groups of people where we've grown up, but I see us all as one. It's just never been a thing. And because being mixed, I'm like, well, yeah, sure, I'm partly black or maybe a little Hispanic in heritage or white or whatever. It's just whatever. Yeah. I'm human. Yeah. American.
Right. I certainly have never felt out of place in the sense that I don't belong. I might feel out of place in the sense that, I am the only non-white person in the room, or I'm the only one with big hair in the room.
You were the only girl, in the family.
Right. Well, I'm just talking about, like, if I'm in public, if I'm out somewhere, there are occasions that I'm in places where I'm the only one that looks like me.
Sure. I was just thinking the psychology of you already grew up like
being the odd person out, in a sense.
So you're just like just used to who you are.
That's true. I never thought of that. So yeah, definitely. I've been in those places where technically I could have felt like I didn't belong, and I recognize that I look different than most people in the room, but I never felt like I didn't belong. I never felt ostracized for being not white or for not being black. If I'm with black people, I've never felt that.
Same here.
In fact, I actually feel the opposite. I feel like because I'm mixed race, visibly it's obvious that I'm mixed with a few different things. No, it's hard to pinpoint. A stranger, it's hard to pinpoint what exactly I am. And I feel like that's an advantage. I personally feel like it's an advantage because, one, because I'm not white, as an example, there aren't going to be assumptions that people are placing on me because I'm white. So right there, that's an advantage. Same thing. There's not, because I'm not black, obviously I'm not just black, there are not people putting assumptions on me because I don't look black. I'm a mixture. So they don't know what the assumptions to think, and I think that's actually a good thing. I like it. The next thing we have is, which one of your parents is black? So,
mentioned it briefly.
Mentioned it. My dad is the one with really dark skin. I think he would prefer to be called just Puerto Rican. That's how he identifies himself, as Puerto Rican.
Yeah, he looks like everybody assumes he's just a regular black guy, but
I guess he's black passing.
Yeah, for sure. He's technically Puerto Rican because his dad was black Puerto Rican. His mom was actually white Puerto Rican. And then he's got all kinds of. He's got a black grandpa, Puerto Rican again. Like the family is all Puerto Rican on his side.
Yeah, my dad's dad, his skin was very, very dark. Very, very dark. And then his wife, my dad's mom, her skin was my color. Her parents, or one of her parents, came from Spain, so more like that type of heritage. Whereas my dad's dad, some of that heritage comes from Africa. So that's why there's some of those different. Why they're both Puerto Rican but different colors from each other.
Yes.
Yes. Which kind of brings us to the. Are we a mutt?
Yeah.
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 Nothing wrong with that.
It's just a name. And then whenever, I don't know, is it just our. Well, name calling's never bothered me. Does it really bother you?
It's never bothered me, and I think that connotation kind of just comes down from years ago, where people really cared about having perfect lines for like royalty,
well, yeah.
keeping blood pure. Yeah, I guess that's where that term comes from. Is they're mutt, they're not pure. Like there's really no such thing as that, honestly, because we're all mixed.
But we're not easily offended kind. I mean, my impression is that's how most, not all, but most conservatives tend to be. They just roll with stuff. It's like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. We're not worried about politically correct stuff the way a liberal mindset would be.
It's possible.
That's my opinion. Oh, so along that line, racist jokes. I don't care. I find most of them funny. Some aren't as funny, but I just whatever.
Right. I'm very often in a situation where I'm with a group of people and they're trying to use an example of something that happened to them, and they want to point out someone's race within the story. And if that person is black, if they're Mexican, if they're Indian, if they're any sort of Spanish, I notice that they hesitate or glance at me first before they finish that joke. Sometimes they will even go as far as to say, no offense, and they'll look directly at me, point to me and say, no offense. Then they continue with the story of the Indian man or the Mexican woman, whatever their story was. And I think it's funny and odd that they feel like they have to don't offend her.
Tell the classroom story.
Don't offend her.
The classroom story. It just happened recently, right? Somebody said, and they all looked at you.
Yes. This literally happened today. I was at a class before I came here to film, and someone had a story in the class to relate to our ethics class for real estate, and they were talking about there's a Mexican person in their story and there was an Indian person in the story, and as soon as the word Mexican was used, two people look over at me. They're like, is she Mexican? I wonder what their thoughts are. Will she be offended? Is she Mexican?
That's probably
it's so funny to me that people do that. And then when they said Indian, same thing. They're like, oh, hey, maybe she's Indian. I don't know. The story had nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me. I didn't even know that person telling the story. But it was just funny that I get that reaction a lot just by existing in a room with people. So that happens to me quite a lot, where people are worried they'll offend me. And I just usually, I smile at them and let them know that, hey, I'm not offended. I don't know why you think I should be, but I'm not.
It's because the news media tells them to be. The society, TV shows, propaganda of all kinds from the liberal media makes a lot of things seem like they're a big deal when they're not.
Right. So they might be making an assumption that I will probably be offended if a certain word is used or something.
Mm-hmm.
I probably won't be, though.
In my experience, by the way, 33 years old, family of 8, and we lived in a lot of places, not just one place. We grew up in 8, 9 different homes because Dad was military. Mm-hmm. And we lived everywhere, from Florida, Washington State, so the Northwest Coast, Japan, Guam, which was very, very culturally mixed, but then kind of most of America is, Southern California, and then Delaware, and finally in the South, right in the heart of the South, in South Carolina. And everywhere we go, it was rare. Well, I've never experienced racism. I've never met personally a person that was overtly racist. My impression was people who are everywhere they're accepting, very nice. My opinion, racism is not a thing. It's not a thing. It doesn't. It's rare. It doesn't happen. I hear of it happening. It's rare.
Yes. From my experience, I definitely have experienced some racism, especially since becoming an adult and, in a sense, putting myself out there in places where I'm in public or with other people. But it's a very small amount of experience, and it's within a very niche group. And I don't want to go into it in this video right now because it'd be a long story. But I would overall say that normally I don't get treated poorly for being mixed.
Twice? 4 times? Like, is it just a few times?
Yeah, I could count on one hand. It's not a lot, and it's from a very specific little group of people. And and if I told you, there would be a very specific reason. You're like, oh, okay, so that's why they're racist. But in the majority of that's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
Everyday interactions with people, they just treat me like a normal human being.
Yeah.
Like I smile at them, they smile at me. It just works like just how everyone else is. I've never had an overall problem where I've had trouble getting jobs or people not liking me in general, or like I don't want to be your friend because you're, I don't know, you're brown. Like I've never had that problem. I just don't have that problem.
Part of it's probably because we're in America. America is very multicultural naturally, even though the majority is white. Whatever, there's enough other cultures, and because of the time frame we live in, where we grow up seeing other people of other ethnicities, other humans,
I do remember noticing that as I got older, more and more commercials had like mixed race people, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I look like that person in the commercial. Doesn't happen a lot. And I thought that was really cool and exciting. I thought that was neat because I did notice that when I was younger, I didn't really see that as much. And now I'm seeing that more. And that tells me that there's more and more mixed race people as they all get married and stuff. Yeah. And I think that's cool. So I think maybe America's new color will be this color.
It could very well be.
Like in the future. Like, I'm not being stupid. Like, I think
there will be more. There already is. There already is a lot of, we've met a lot of other mixed people.
Yep.
In my impression, they seem to be very happy people, having a great life.
Yeah.
I've never been asked if I'm adopted. Have you?
I don't think so.
I don't think any of our siblings have.
If I was, I just don't remember. I mean, I do think that, like, our family dynamics, I feel personally that we all look kind of very different from each other. Like, obviously, there's going to be similarities, like eye color, nose shape, whatever. But I think we all have different nose shapes. We all have different mouth shapes. I think we all look so different. So I wouldn't be surprised if somebody was to ask me that question. It wouldn't surprise me. I did meet this one family. They were a mixed race family. The dad was black, the mom was white, and all the children were the exact same shade of in between. And I was like, that's so interesting because our family is not like that.
Well, I haven't had.
Yeah, we have some whiter, some white passing, and some just tan. And I just thought that was so interesting to see that there can be such a variety of family dynamics in mixed race families. Yeah. One thing that my mom experienced was when she had her first son, her first white passing baby. I'm gonna keep saying that because it's so funny to me now. Yeah, so John, and maybe I'll insert a picture or something in post editing if I have that much skill. We'll see. He had bleach blonde hair and was pale when he came out.
I was very much white.
Yeah, it looked like 2 white people married and had a white baby. That's what it looked like. And I think it surprised one of my mom's friends. She said that
she was actually a Mexican friend.
Yeah, she I guess peeked in the nurse. She was like, oh, he's white. Yeah, I think she was very surprised. I think they said the nurses like loved your hair. I think it was a little bit of a surprise for some people that her first child was just very white looking, like she is.
But the Mexican friend was specifically surprised, I think, because of her background. She was expecting a certain thing to come out, and he's more white than I expected.
Right, yeah.
But it's just, as far as my mom says, that was it. I mean, there was nobody really making comments at the hospital, though the nurses had fun with my hair.
Right, yeah. And your hair's obviously darkened a lot. It's, I guess
it
would be dirty blonde.
Dirty blonde
Is the color, yeah.
Dirty blonde. I mean, some people say it's brown, whatever, but
definitely
it has that golden color in it. Kind of. We don't speak other languages. That's not
man, I get asked this question so much.
Our dad does. Because
Well,
he grew up learning bilingual.
I've asked him about this before, and he claims that he cannot
Lately.
speak Spanish anymore.
That's lately. It's very bizarre because I remember each time we went several times to New York City.
He would speak Spanish or
fluently.
It seemed fluent to
and
us.
And then in
anyways.
South Carolina, the neighbor that lived across, they moved into the trailer, the yard across.
Yeah.
And we invited him over. Had great conversations with him.
Right.
So it was all, and he didn't say this when back in the day. He never did. It's recently he says, "Oh, he can't speak Spanish." Or
well, I think the thing is because even though both of his parents fluently spoke Spanish, that was their primary language. I think he was never actually taught Spanish growing up. He just picked it up from his parents speaking it, his relatives speaking it, his friends speaking it. So he knew how to have a conversation. But because I've talked about this, and he doesn't know any of the grammatical rules for Spanish. He was never taught Spanish. So I think over the years he's lost a little bit of that even conversation skill. So he feels that he can't speak Spanish, but he can speak some. And I probably would come back to him so much easier than it would to somebody that has never spoken Spanish.
I mean, maybe that explains why he never tried to teach us, because he felt like he never could.
Yes, yeah.
But it's just funny. He never said anything about having a problem with it till literally a couple months ago when I asked him. I was just like so surprised because I've heard you speak Spanish fluently. What in the world?
Yeah. I don't know. So he used to. But
yeah, we did. I tried Spanish in college. That's what it was. In college, I tried a class. I couldn't get it. The grammar was too much for me. I actually find, and I've only looked a little bit, but I find learning Japanese or German seems like that'd be pretty easy, and I could learn that.
Interesting.
So Deutschland language.
For me, like most Americans, I took 2 years of Spanish in high school, and that's it. So yeah, end of story.
Struggles of being mixed? Nope.
Yeah, the only struggle I had was
Oh yeah. But then it's a struggle because you can't do anything with it. But then that's also a nice thing because you don't have to worry about it too much. Just cut it short and let it grow.
For a guy, yes.
That's
I obviously didn't really want short hair. So.
No social struggles that I've had to worry about.
So whenever I became like preteen, teenage years, of course, that's the years that I, as a girl, started to care about the way I looked and the way I dressed and those sort of things. So at that time, I was like, okay, I feel like my hair is holding back my looks here. This is a conversation I'm having with myself. So I'm like, all right, let's get this under wraps. Let's figure out this hair thing. So I tried to do many different things. There was like probably 6 years of me experimenting and trying to figure out my hair.
She looks good in many different hairstyles.
My problem starting out, this was my only struggle of being mixed, was there wasn't enough content from mixed girls and women to tell me what they did with their hair. I didn't know any other people that had hair like me. I knew some white people.
This is before YouTube, by the way.
Yes. This is like YouTube would probably be very new. I wasn't on there, that sort of thing. I knew some white women that had curly hair, but their texture was very different, and I would try some of their techniques, and it just wouldn't really work. And then I tried to chemically straighten my hair, which was the worst mistake of my life. It ruined it. Don't do that. But yeah, there was
Your hair's not ruined.
It ruined that hair. That hair has grown off and been cut off.
Oh.
Yeah, it ruined that hair. That hair's gone. This hair is just fine.
It's lovely.
Yes. So, yeah. Even when people say you've ruined your hair, it's temporarily ruined. Your hair will grow back. But that was my only struggle, I would say. What is your favorite thing about being mixed?
Probably just because I feel like more so belong. And here's the nephew. His son.
Really wasn't. Hey, David, I need you.
Oh, I was saying, I really feel like I can easily belong to many different ethnicities with no problem because I have that in my blood.
Yeah.
I guess that would be my favorite thing. I'm just content with who I am. I'm me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And some people have struggles, I guess, with being mixed. I've never met them, so I think that might be a rare thing.
I've never met a person. I mean, again, I would say I know more non-mixed people than mixed people, but still, like
I mean, technically, every single person's mixed.
Yes.
But
yes,
mixed usually refers to like a dominant, black, Asian, white, Indian, and the mixing thereof.
Right.
But technically, we all have genes. I mean, just do a DNA test. You'll find out how mixed you are.
Speaking of DNA tests, Jonathan did a DNA test. A DNA test.
Ancestry.com.
And I was so excited that he
Free
did this.
advertising.
So obviously, free advertising. We are not sponsored by them.
Yeah.
I was really excited about this. So because he's my brother, our DNA is going to be the same. Similar is the percentages are going to be different.
Yes.
But they're going to have the same things in there, right? Is that how it works?
You're going to come from these same places.
Same things are going to be in our DNA, but there's going to be a difference in percentages. So I guess that's why we have different colors. So why don't you go over to the main ones and say the percentages?
Well, our background, our family, there's Great Britain, there's Europe, and African, and then here in Americas, Native American. Mm-hmm. So it's these three continents.
Those are like the main ones.
My specific percentages are 21% from Great Britain, and 16% from Western Europe, 14% Iberia, that's Spain.
Area, yeah.
9% from the Congo, Cameroon.
Africa.
8% from African Southwestern Bantu. And 6% from European South, which is the Mediterranean, Italy, Greece, that kind of area. 5% Native American, and that's expected because Mom says she remembers a uncle who was Native American, so we know that's in there somewhere. 5% from Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and then there's the low confidence regions, which all total, I think, is it 5%? It might be 5%. Oh no, there's 5%. Northwest Finland, Russia.
Interesting.
6% Ivory Coast, Ghana. 2% Caucasus. Oh, these are all the low confidence. Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's little percentages of Scandinavian, African North, European East, and Nigeria.
Wow. So that was like 6 different places all within Africa.
Yeah.
And then like other 6 different places all in the Europe type area.
Yes.
So very interesting. So that would kind of be like the main things then.
And it makes sense. We know from before doing this test that we had a lot of European ancestry.
Of that information.
It was easy to trace some of the English like names like Bradbury, Bradford, whatever.
Yeah.
And some of the Irish names. And then of course Dad's side of the family, the Carmona and the Porfiro.
The Carmona name is pretty easy to follow a trail of Carmona. Yeah. I don't know. I was just so excited about seeing all the different ethnicities together. I would just encourage anyone to get a DNA test, even if you think, oh, I'm just white. You're probably more than just white.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to be mixed multiple different things because, well, people have been on the earth for thousands of years. So.
And if you're able to, and you can get more in-depth tests, they can tell you, look up your lineage, look up what written records exist. Right. I like to watch some of the documentaries on that, and it's really neat. Some of the people, some famous celebrities have done it, and they've been very surprised at what they find, the connections they have.
Yeah, and of course you can do your own digging, and you can even go so much further. This is just like the beginnings of like kind of areas to look in. It's kind of what this DNA tells you. Like these are different areas where you have some ancestry blood from. It's just really cool. What else do we got here? Do you like being mixed race? Kind of in conclusion, what do you feel? You very
happy.
Positive?
Yeah. This is who I am.
Yeah, I love it. I really do. Like I honestly am like so happy to be mixed race, which seems like a silly thing, but like you should just be happy with who you are because you can't change it, really,
Nope.
You can't change your ethnicity. It's kind of one of those things that you can claim to be something else, but you're not if you're not. And it's just, I don't know. I think it's exciting. It's just really cool. It's like I'm carrying around a piece of history. And I just think that's really cool. But yeah, like overall, I think our whole family, I think we can speak for the rest of our brothers that
life's been good.
Yeah, it's
good.
Been fine being mixed race. There's never been any issues of having parents of different races.
People are very accepting. Definitely among American culture and Guam is U.S. territory, and there's a lot of Asian cultures, but it's the same thing. People are very accepting.
Yeah.
They don't have problems. In our experience, racism is not really a thing.
To me, first and foremost, I just feel like I am American.
Yes.
And so to me, I feel like I relate to everyone else who's American. I feel like I relate more so to white Americans than I do Carmona people from Spain because I don't even know them. I might be related to them.
Yeah, there's a town in Spain.
I don't know them. There is a castle. There's a
Yes.
town made in Carmona. I don't know. I have no connection beyond knowing that I'm related to them somehow. But my connection is American, and so I feel like it's pretty obvious that I'm American. I have a very American accent. Very obvious to other Americans I'm American. So I feel like I belong everywhere.
And definitely here.
Definitely here.
A place where many cultures come together to become
Yes.
American.
Yeah. I teach Korean students online, and I love to tell them a little bit about my heritage, and their response is like, that makes total sense. America is a melting pot. Like, they're telling me, like, oh, duh, that makes total sense what you just said. And to me, that's funny because there's a lot of Americans that are, like, really pushy or sensitive about the subject.
Maybe not a lot, but some.
Yeah.
Definitely some.
But yeah.
A vocal minority.
I think that kind of covers it. If you have any more questions, leave them down below. You know what to do. Thank you for watching.